ladies and gentlemen, to the RDFL Footy Show, back for another week here in the Riddell District Football and Netball League, and what a week it has been for football in the RDFL. Sean Kelly's my name. Joining me as always, my co-host Chris Yeendy. Another very exciting week, Andy, and things are starting to really congest on that ladder, which we'll speak about later on.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Great weekend for footy, and it really we start to see the ladder really starting to take shape. So really good cracking games, and really setting up for the back half of the season.
Yeah, some really close games as well, including the game you were at on the weekend, covering, of course, for Highlands FM 100.7. Riddell taking on Macedon, two of the real heavyweights of the league, and Macedon suffering their first loss on the weekend at the hands of the Bombers.
Yeah, certainly that was a game of two halves, realistically. At the end of the day, Brian Ruffle, he kicked 8 goals for the Bombers. Nathan Croft, the young 16-year-old, had the last quarter, remember, he kicked 2. There's a bit of a talking point in itself, though. Tommy Waters, in my opinion, he was probably best on ground in the first half. He goes down with dislocated finger. His day's over. And then the Bombers start winning the centre clearances, and that sort of turned the tide of the game. The Cats were 23 points up, 6-minute mark of the third term, and they ended up going down by 21. And hats off to the Bombers. They played some brilliant footy, capitalised on opportunity, and more often than not, when they went forward, they kicked goals.
It just shows the value of a good big man in the centre of the ground, especially someone of the ilk of Tommy Waters. Just shows how quickly a game can turn when another team gets on top in the centre of the ground.
Exactly. Well, Tommy went down, and Braden Allen basically came into his element and become one of the premier players on the ground, and the midfield was ready to go as well. They really shared the workload around the midfield, and the forward line was functioning very well at Riddell.
Yeah, mentioned that forward line. The big rough's got amongst it again and just plucked one by the scruff of the neck. Got your Player of the Week award as well. How good was he?
Yeah, absolutely impressive. He kicked goals in blocks, which is great. But when the Cats were on top, he was pushing further up the ground to try and gather some of the ball. And I spoke to him after the game, and one of the things that Jamie Elliott has pushed to him is run your man up the ground and try and work and just sort of create space.
Passing.
Yeah, exactly. Get some opportunities, and that's the great thing with Big Ruff is he's got a big engine on him, and he's quite fit, so he can move up and down the ground quite well and quick.
He is indeed, and we know that when Brian Ruffle gets going and he's on his game, it is a hard day for opposition defenders. Talking point number 2, we were just having a look at the ladder before we went on, and I've put it up on the screen for you now. Have a look at how close things are from the Sunbury Kangaroos in 4th, all the way down to Romsey in 8th, and I suppose you can even include Lancefield in that in 9th. There's only 2 games separating the Sunbury Kangaroos and Lancefield. We are set for a really, really exciting few weeks, I think.
Absolutely, and look, one of the things the clubs I look at is the Sunbury Kangaroos. They needed to have that win against Lancefield on the weekend, but they've got a very tough run home, so if they can pinch a couple of wins along the way, that's going to place a big importance on how the top 6 shapes up, because anyone can make it, and you only have to look at Romsey. They've faced a few sides down the lower half of the ladder, but you've still got to win those games. They've won 3 in a row. All of a sudden, the 2-time reigning defending premiers are in the chance to make the finals.
They are indeed, and Broadford, of course, who we spoke about on this show several times early on in the year, we were talking about how they may have fallen from grace sitting at 0-4. They're now 5-4, and they're back in the top 6, which is a really ominous sign for the rest of the league.
And picked up a very handy recruit last week, Rex Hickman, making his debut over at the Roos on the weekend over at the GGA.
Interesting to see Rex Hickman coming into the fold as we turn our attention to round 10 this weekend. And as I cast the eye over it, there's some very, very good and very, very important games of football this weekend. And this is going to be a really key round, I think, in how that ladder shapes up. We could see a bit of separation in that ladder after this round, starting at Shark Park this weekend. Down at Salesian College, Rupertswood taking on Woodend Heskett. On paper, you'd think Rupertswood would start favourites, but Woodend Heskett really taking it up to Broadford last week and weren't that far away.
Yeah, that's right. I know the Hawks probably would have thought that they were on level par with the Roos. We know the Roos have had the winning streak to help them with that sort of confidence there. But the Hawks haven't won down at Shark Park ever, so there's an opportunity for them to do it. Then this is the chance, because I know players are getting frustrated. They want to get that first big W on the board, and that's going to make them work a lot harder to put a solid 4-quarter performance in. Sharks are coming off a big win against Centrals. They won by 17 goals.
They did. Steve
Burlak kicked 6 and Todd Pottlesat kicked 5. So no arguments there from the Sharks. They're in good form.
Definitely not in great form. Is that the way you're going this week?
Yeah, I'll go to the Sharks.
Going the head instead of the heart?
Yep. Well, unfortunately,
you can say always then, but not always.
Well, I'm a Bombers man, so in order with tipping, I've always got to go with the head at times.
Yeah, correct. Melton Central's taking on Lancefield this weekend. Really important game for both of these clubs. Obviously, as we said, Lancefield still a couple of games behind the mix, need to get back up into there, and Central's probably just need one to get a bit of confidence back into the club. This will be an interesting game here at Arnold's Creek.
Absolutely, mate. And like, the one thing you mentioned before is that we will start to see the ladder sort of separate here, and if the Centrals get up, then Lancefield are going to slip further and further behind. Because
Centrals get up, Lancefield are in trouble.
Exactly, and they're a better side than I believe what they've put on the paddock. The Tigers, I've watched them a couple of times this year. They've played some phenomenal footy. I think their probably biggest weakness is to be able to just keep that going for 4 quarters. So we've spoken about John Kent needing to kick goals. Well, he kicks goals on the weekend against Sunbury Kangaroos. But then there's no Miles Dorman. Will Brock sort of stepped down. He kicked goals the week before. He kicked one on the weekend, but you just need sort of more of that consistency coming through.
I'll come and have a look at this one, I think. I might just sneak along and have a look at how this one starts off with the camera in hand as well. So very interested to see this one. Tipping, please.
Yeah, I got to go to Tigers.
Tigers as well. Broadford taking on Rockbank this week as Gav's Rams head up to the GGO to take on one of the informed teams in the competition at the moment. You'd think the Roos would start pretty heavy favourites.
Well, the result of this one will sort of determine where the Roos are at, because unfortunately, the Rams haven't had the best season, but good on them. They kicked 3 goals on the weekend, which some might say, it's only 3 goals, but
they're cracking it.
Yeah,
that's the main.
That's their best score in well over a month of footy, and that's
as Gav Spall said from the start of the season. He's not really that focused on the scoreboard this year. His main concern is getting games into their kids, developing the club, and really setting up a base for future years. They know that they're going to have the heartbreak this year, and it's going to happen. We know that. We saw it with Diggers Rest last week where it was a 300-odd point result. But as long as the Rockbank boys keep cracking in, that's all the coach will ask for. Exactly.
And at the end of the day, they've got more than a lot of teams don't have throughout the region. They've got 3 teams that are competing on the track every single week. So, but Broadford, well, geez, if they really want to make a statement here, and percentage is going to play a big part in it, this is going to be a game that need to win and win well. And they may need to put their best side on the paddock to have that impact.
Yeah, they may do too as well. You're tipping Broadford?
Absolutely, mate.
So am I. This is going to be an interesting game at Romsey Park this weekend. Romsey taking on Wallen. Wallen fell out of the top 6 for, I think, the first time almost this year on the weekend. They were pretty competitive. They really took it up to the opposition, but couldn't quite get the win, whereas Romsey, as you mentioned, just keep on keeping on at the moment, find themselves knocking on the door of that top 6, and with the win this week, with other results going their way, potentially climb back in.
Yeah, definitely. I think this game is more important for Wallen. This is probably their most important game for them compared to any other team in this round, because they pushed the Burrows to 21 points. Yeah. We know how good they are at home, but how good are they away?
That was our talking point from a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it? Wallen doing it all at home, but obviously on the road not doing much at all. Here's a chance to prove everyone wrong.
Yeah, and I think if they don't get up and for whatever circumstances, then they're going to have a lot of trouble fighting back from here, because they need to find an away win somewhere, and this is a game where they're playing a team where they're about evenly matched that they can do it.
Yeah, who are you tipping in this one?
I've got to go with the informed side. 4 in a row for the Redbacks.
I'm going to go with the Pies, just because I know how important this game is for Wallen and for their finals chances. They'll have them ready to roll in this one, and I think they can get their first win away from home and start proving some of these doubters wrong. Match of the round, though, as we know, at Diggers Rest this week. Bloomdale Oval sees the Boroughs taking on Macedon. A little bit of the luster loss from this match, obviously, with Macedon's loss last week, but I think that'll make them just that little bit hungrier to take on Diggers Rest, who showed last week that they can be pushed by Wallen.
Absolutely, and hats off again to Wallen for all the work they've been able to do. Brent Tuckey played, didn't kick a goal on the day. So they shared the workload around there, the Boroughs, which I know the Cats are very capable of. I think all eyes are going to be on what happens on the injury front. Tom Waters gets up, the Cats are a show. If not, then they've got a long lot of hard work to do. One player I would be critical of, and I mean that in a good way, and I was praying for it during the broadcast on the weekend, is Jason Cook. When the moment was there for a player to step up, he didn't get there. He didn't make the most of it. And he's been one of those impact players. He did it against the Hawks going back a few weeks ago. He kicked 3 goals in 8 minutes, turned the game on its head.
Did it on several occasions last year as well.
And the moment was there for him on the weekend. So I know he would be feeling it. He needs to go out there on the weekend against the Boroughs and maybe kick 4 or 5 goals and make a statement. He's that sort of player. Jack Kernan started to come into his own, which is really good. And I'm probably looking at the positives for the Cats because, let's be honest, the Boroughs are very well polished from the first play to last.
And I think what you just said then, that word statement, is going to be the crucial one in this one. The winner of this game will really want to make a statement. If it's Diggers Rest, they're going to say, we are the ones that you need to catch this year. And of course, it doesn't matter what Diggers Rest do during the home and away season, as you and I both know, and really as everyone out there knows as well, including Sean Sims and the Diggers Rest Footy Club. They're not going to be measured on what they do up until round 18 or round 17. They're measured what they do after round 17. But what they need to do is get themselves in that best possible place so they can have that impact come the finals. They win this week, they almost lock in the top 2 spot, which is where they need to be because they're guaranteed that double chance.
And I think they'll be happy to be the 100 as well. It's not going to phase them one bit. And they've got plenty of players to rotate in and out of the team through that second half of the year, find that balance that's suitable for them come the finals.
You're tipping?
Oh, we're going to go to the Boroughs this week. Home ground advantage as well. They play it very, very well.
Is that your phone ringing? I reckon that's Terry Kernan on the line. Wanting to please explain from you. Obviously doing some fantastic work this year with the Macedon Footy Club. And Terry, I think, is just on the end of the line saying, just back us in. We'll look after you. And this game, of course, Highlands FM 100.7.
We're looking forward to it.
Didn't think you'd be missing this one.
No, not at all. We were originally going over to Romsey Wallen, but we thought we'd do the change up over there. It's only 5 minutes away from my place too, so I'm wrapped. But I actually will say Terry has got in my ear this year and said, don't pump us up too much. So
it does not sound like Terry at all. Last year it was pump us up at every opportunity. So it's amazing the difference at what 12 months makes. And Sunday footy this week in the RDFL as well. The traditional Sunday fixture between Riddell and the Sunbury Kangaroos this weekend. And pretty good game this should be as well. Obviously we know Riddell up and about after knocking off Macedon last weekend. The Sunbury Kangaroos sitting in 4th spot and really need a win to start to consolidate that, or they could end up games this weekend slipping down the ladder and maybe even out of the top 6. If things go badly, it's going to be a tough ask for them though against the Bombers.
Definitely is, and watching the Bombers very closely last week, they've given me no indication of why they shouldn't be a top 2 side, and they've lost games that they probably should have won against. They had winnable games against Diggers and Rupo, so that sort of tipped the scale. That's the only 2 losses they've had this year. This is a chance for them to shine, and on their home deck, Sunday afternoon football, everyone will get around there and enjoy it. And the Kangaroos, they needed as much confidence they could from last week's win to get into this game. Yeah,
they will indeed. Big stage, probably a fairly big crowd as well, because I'd imagine that there'd be quite a few interested onlookers in this game from other RDFL clubs. So whatever you're doing, obviously Saturday's the footy day for a lot of people. If you've got some time on Sunday, head down to the Riddles Creek Recreation Reserve. Fantastic atmosphere down at Riddell. It should be what's a pretty good game between 2 teams that are fast becoming pretty tight rivals.
Absolutely, they don't have Sunday footy for without a reason here. They've got a really good cause and really get behind it. Should be a fantastic day.
And of course, if you can't make it,
no, not this year.
Not
this year. No, we're going to have a week off.
If you can't make it, keep an eye on the RDFL website. The Riddell Footy Club will, of course, be updating the live scores all afternoon. So I've just got myself out of jail pretty quickly.
You've played your Monopoly card beautifully.
No, I have indeed. It gives you a Sunday off, which I dare say your bride's going to be very, very happy with.
Well, I did say to her, because I won't see her all this week, she's going away. I said, well, you're coming back on Sunday, we're going to go to the footy. And she said, we'll see about that. So
very good indeed. That's all we've got for this week on the RDFL Footy Show, ladies and gentlemen. Chris Yeen joining us once again. A pretty emotional week for you as well. Obviously, one journey in your life ends this week, of course. The man behind the Midland Express, of course, finishing up at the Midland Express. So I suppose on behalf of the RDFL, for all the work that you've done in promoting the Riddell District Football League in the Midland Express over the last 3.5 years that I've been involved, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And I'm sure, obviously, whilst I'm not officially speaking for the RDFL anymore,
you're wearing the top, mate.
Still wearing the top, and I dare say that obviously everyone in the RDFL will echo our sentiments, mate. Thank you for everything you've done, and we wish you the best of luck in the next journey. Of course, you're still going to be here every week. You're still going to be covering the RDFL, but I suppose the off-field side of thing for you, we wish you the best of luck in whatever comes up next.
Thanks, mate. We'll just have some fun. It's always good being around good people, so it's been exciting to have that be on that journey with everyone else to promote this great competition with all the other surrounding clubs as well.
And of course, the journey doesn't finish for Chris Yeen. You're still going to see him here every week on the RDFL Footy Show. You're still going to hear him on Highlands FM every week, and you're still going to see him walking around holding his 100.7 sign on the grounds before the senior game every week. So sing no sad songs for this fella. He's not going anywhere. Neither are you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us once again on the RDFL Footy Show this week. We'll see you again next week as we prepare for multicultural round in round 11.